Hello everyone, this is FTL. Let's start a new game. I'm not going to be reading very much of the flavor text since I already played this game very many times and can essentially discern what is happening just by looking at the shape of the text boxes. You might have seen the ship that replaced the Castrol cruiser in Hanner there. It is in fact a modded ship, and in fact I created that mod myself. However, we will not be using that ship today because I find it to be a little visually overbearing. I suppose if you're watching this video, it is probably because you know the game FTL and you appreciate the game more than anything else, so I don't think my commentary would really be that important in this case. Also, the reason why I have chosen this particular ship to start with is because this ship is relatively easy to manage and it has endgame viable weaponry, so I can focus a lot more on trying to sound engaging, even though so far that hasn't been exactly easy for me. I need to rearrange the weapons. Probably not a good idea to be sending my pilot to repair that damage, so we will be doing this instead. Sorry if I'm not talking very much. I think what's happening right now is pretty much self-explanatory. It always seems difficult after playing a roguelike game for a while to develop real high-level strategy because so much of these games are dependent on luck, to put it bluntly. That also gives me a good reason to not be using any other ship, since I don't want to have a run that is ruined by bad luck. With this particular ship, the initial weaponry makes it so that it is unlikely that you will be starving for late game damage. Damage is also another feature about roguelike games that are a little bit of a strange problem to be dealing with. I probably didn't explain that very well, but essentially, in most roguelike games, damage is the most important stat of any possible stats, because it essentially disables your enemies from being able to interrupt what you're doing. So damage is a bit of a panacea for pretty much any sort of problem the game might throw at you. This is also difficult for the game developers, because if the player has a high damage stat, it also makes it difficult for the enemies to display their complex behavior. So a high damage stat, while satisfying superficially, will also make it so that the game loses most of its depth. And so the damage stat cannot be freely granted to the player. As a result, it would be even more coveted. Speaking of strategy, with this ship I think it is pretty straightforward in the early game to try and find shield upgrades, or should I say sufficient resource to fund the shield upgrade in the early game. After that, it would be pretty much the same as any other ship. Looking for a powerful weapon and then try to implement those weapons. Okay, this will hopefully not be too difficult to deal with, given that our ship is primarily powered by the crew members. The enemies are behaving very foolishly. I do not mind. Should probably turn on the oxygen system now that I come to think of it. And that ended up being more complicated than I thought. And as promised, I will be upgrading my shield. As to other aspects of FTL, the aesthetics, from graphics to music, are both very good in my opinion. That being said, I have some excuse to not be constantly talking, which I think you will also prefer. shouldn't be too difficult here. The enemy appear to have no capacity to actually harm us. I'm going to try and accumulate a little more scrap before going to any of these stores. This enemy actually has the capacity to damage our ship, so I will be attacking its weapon system. Do not waste the charge there. Let's see, 122 scrap. Glaive beam, that is good. Even though we probably won't be able to use it effectively anytime soon, I will be purchasing that. And that is honestly good enough for me. Let's repair, refuel, and carry on. I am avoiding visiting that store while having a low level of scrap. Judging from the fact that the enemy cannot in fact hurt us, let us try using the glaive beam for no other reason than amusement. If I'm trying to optimize things, I should not be doing that because my crew member will gain more experience using granular weapons like the ion blasts, which fire more frequently and therefore grants more experience. But since we had the glaive beam, we should at least let the universe know that, even if only for one beacon. Having a little trouble deciding what to do there. This event almost seemed new. I don't remember this one. You find a missing cargo ship docked to a rebel station. You send a short band message to them and discover they are being held against their will and forced to donate their supplies for the war effort. Sounds like something that I should be intervening on ideological basis. In case you haven't noticed, there is in fact a lore to this game. It's pretty much irrelevant to the gameplay itself, which is a disappointment because space science fiction is pretty interesting as a concept. However, FTL just can't actively engage its story into the gameplay. At least in most cases, it doesn't. So you might encounter a situation where you're trying to decide whether or not it's going to be ethical to terraform a planet that has basic forms of life. And whatever your decision is, it doesn't really change the outcome. You either fight a low-tier enemy or you don't. So you just end up feeling like any sort of moral decision is ultimately foolish because it has no real impact on the game. Choosing one decision might just make your run worse, whereas the other decision, while righteous sounding on paper, doesn't really offer anything in terms of mechanics. However, I suppose that is in fact reflective of real life. That morally sound decisions don't automatically translate to being benefited for any reason. I'm not sure if that is really fitting with the idea that video games are supposed to bring a sense of empowerment, that you're supposed to feel like your decisions matter, where in real life that is so often not the case. And I should probably stop sounding like I know anything about game design. What I'm doing there is basically to rotate the position of micromembers so as to spread out the damage accumulated from combat and avoid any of them being severely wounded. I would very much like to have another crew member to replace my NG pilot for the time being. I can't be sure, but I feel like just looking at the text that is showing up, that there had been an update to the game, even though I'm fairly sure the game is already in its final version. That is both exciting and slightly terrifying. The last update FTL received that I know of, the Advanced Edition, had certain signs showing that the developers were rushing with their update. I feel like some of the features were crudely done. However, I shouldn't be complaining about more content to play with. And this is what I mean when I said the weaponry is endgame viable. With certain other ships, you would physically be unable to deal any damage to late game enemies with higher levels of shields. The enemy's mind controlling my crew member is also not ideal. And that is terrible. So much so that I think we are either going to die or we have to escape from this place. due to the fragile nature of my crew members, I don't think it's possible for me to recover the weapon system. In which case I should not be sending crew members there. Okay, let me try to deal with this situation logically. That was not the correct thing to do. Engines person should stay there and repair, and he should be trying to put out that fire. You can pilot the ship for the time being, and you can stay there. You should be heading to the med bay. I'm actually going back to the starting beacon just because I can be sure that there will be no threat there. Even though this is a very unfortunate thing to be doing because it neutrals my ability to explore the sector as well as I could. Which in turn means that I will be likely missing out on useful items and resources. I also accidentally misassigned my crew members' positions. So let us fix that problem. These people are not specialized. Those two on the shields, because our Zoltan shield has prevented any real damage from getting through to the blue shields, and so they are not receiving any experience bonus. I'm going to reassign their positions and send more crew members to assist with the repair. Let's go this way. That was a foolish thing to do. Not doing so well in the sector so far. And the fact that there is a pulsar present in this sector, this beacon, means that I should probably be prioritizing disabling the enemy's weapon system rather than focusing on traditional methods of attack. Since we will both be losing our defensive options when the pulsar unleashes its natural EMP on us. I miss having the ability to power up our shield by pure crew member power already. And I can recover that right now, but I don't think that is the correct choice. I do not like this decision to hire a crew member just to replace a pilot, especially not a human being. But that is what I have to be doing right now. The next upgrade will probably be shields. Since it's becoming apparent that my enemies will be having stronger methods of attack we might encounter another dangerous enemy here, but luckily that is not what came to pass. A risk worth the taking, I think. I will also be saving my scrap for when I have enough to completely upgrade my shields. So the next level of shield upgrade would be requiring 50 scrap, and I will be upgrading my shield only when I have the sufficient resource, like now. This way, if I encounter a store like that, before I have the money to upgrade the shield fully, I can have more options in what I do with my scrap. That sentence was more clumsy than I wanted it to be, but I think it is still possible to understand. The Antis, despite being renowned in this game as the most engineering proficient race in the galaxy, are still designing terrible ships that have poor, or should I say, that are extremely susceptible to beam weapon attacks. If only their reputation had a mechanically significant effect on the game, beside being better at repairing, I suppose. That is good. I will be consigning this crew member to the sensors only because it is more close to the center of the ship, so that when there are repair jobs to be done, it can more easily reach any position necessary. Might not be the most valiant strategy, but I think asphyxiation is still the primary method with which we will be dealing with any sort of ship intruders. I should remember that the oxygen doesn't automatically come back. Unfortunately, this enemy will be very difficult to deal with our existing setup of weapons, because this drone, Defense Drone Mark II, will be destroying at least half of my ion blasts, making it such that it will be impossible to get through their shields with ion blasts and pike beam. Fortunately, we have a weapon for this situation, and we will just be hoping that their set of ion blast and pike beam will be unable to penetrate our shields before their ship is destroyed, which it is now. That is also a bit of a wake-up call to upgrade my weapons. I will be doing that, so that if we encounter a difficult enemy again, we can be using glaive beam and at least one ion blast simultaneously. That was not the event that might cause me to lose another crew member. I think I will be looking for different weapons before I upgrade my weapon system anymore. This could be a difficult fight. If I keep messing with my ion blasts, they might pose a genuine threat to me. Good. The other problem, I guess, with FTL is that... Oh, I was mistaken. Anyways, I was going to say that the other problem with FTL is that enemies' missile launchers are somewhat overpowered, because while the player's missiles are limited by the number of consumable missiles that the player possesses, the enemies are essentially not restrained by that, since each enemy ship can dedicate all of its missile weapon to fight the player ship, whereas the player ship must reserve at least some missiles to fight the other possible upcoming ships. Now we are at the store and faced with a little dilemma, because I want to purchase the fire beam weapon, it being one of the most interesting weapons in the game, I think. However, I also know that objectively speaking, I should be purchasing other items. However, for the sake of entertainment, I think I will be doing this. In fact, I will even replace my pike beam with it. Since for hull damage we have the glaive beam. I also want to hire a crew member, but it's probably advisable for me to upgrade my ship more before that. It is a crew member with a proficiency in the shield operation, which my ship lacks, so that convinced me. Let's do this as well. I will definitely need to be transitioning out of basic ion blasts for shield disruption for the late game, since missing with one of these shots will set me back for quite a while, especially for ships with high levels of blue shields. That attack luckily did not disrupt any of my essential systems. The enemy crew members tend to prioritize their shield system more than anything else, which is arguably a sound decision for them, but not always true for the player. I think they're finished. Also, I mistakenly fired my ion shots at their door system rather than their shield system, because I mistook this ship for a classic layout of it, which had the shield in the largest room. Unless I am mistaken and that this layout is in fact the layout that I'm thinking of. And I had always been mistaken about where the shield system is in that ship, but it's not important right now. I do not believe I have seen this event before. That is very interesting. Also confirming the possibility that the game has been updated. I can only hope that the developers did a better job this time around. Eerily beautiful music is coming up, I think. So are 2 damage enemy missiles. That particular alien is immune to fire, which can be trouble to deal with. We evaded that missile with our level 3 engines. That's impressive. I'm pretty sure they're done though. Even if this particular crew member is immune to fire, they are not immune to suffocation. I only hope that the enemy's hull will hold out before the crew member suffocates, because when when a enemy system burns out, the ship will actually take hull damage, like that. This might be torturous or very entertaining to play, to watch, I should say, depending on whether or not you are a sadist. The fact that I find this amusing should say something about me as a person. That would be the end of that person's torture, and we will be advancing to Mantis homeward. Excuse me, I meant Mantis home world. For that purpose, or should I say for that reason, I will be moving my engine to that position and upgrading my sensors, as well as my engine system. I have the superstition that the accuracy of our weapons is determined in part by the level of engines we possess, as well as the level of engine the enemy possesses. Even though the game only says that it is the enemy's engine system that determines how likely our projectiles are to hitting the enemy ship. And that is a problem to have. Let me power down some of my system just so that when the Zoltans leave their stations, the power system wouldn't be entirely disrupted. I am also lucky to have that one extra layer of upgrade to my weapon system so as to protect my essential weapons from dysfunctioning when the system is slightly damaged. That is a very complicated concept to explain in human language, but I think you will understand after you watch this game enough. Or play it enough, for that matter. If this is your first time watching FTL, I'm sorry, I'm not doing a very good job explaining how this game works. But I'm going under the assumption that this is not your first time watching because my channel is relatively obscure, and so if you are watching this video, it's probably because you like the game, not because you like the channel. However, if it is the latter reason for which you are watching, then you have my appreciation and gratitude. That sounded so formal that it actually sounds insincere. That is a welcome addition to my crew. We do need a crew member who is specialized in combat, which this Mantis is. Next upgrade will probably be either engines or shield. And immediately we are called upon to make use of our combat specialized crew members. That's interesting. I'm actually going to power down my shields for this rather than my engines because I do want to get out of this beacon as soon as is possible. Looks like we will be able to do that quickly enough though. This is not a problem. Nothing here. Easy money in its most literal sense. Of course, if we're being honest to the lore going on in the game, it wasn't easy for the crew member, but for me that is a easy decision that resulted in net benefit. I like this part of the soundtrack. Uh-oh. Good evasions. Let us divert some of our firepower to disable the enemy's weapon system. That is what I meant when I said I enjoyed the fact that I have an additional level of upgrade that is not being used for my weapon system. Because in that situation, if I haven't that extra level of upgrade, one of my ions would have been disabled. They have run back to their burning ship. That is not ideal, but could be worse. Good. This ship doesn't really look that dangerous, but I could be wrong. I am inclined to change my opinion now that my green shield is pretty much depleted. Hopefully that missile is a level 1 missile rather than a level 2. Thankfully, they just completely lost their ability to damage our ship. Go. Doesn't help to be a good fighter now, does it? Because you can't fight fire the same way you fight aliens, can you? I don't know why I decided to ask rhetorical questions to video game characters that wouldn't even be able to hear me even if they were real, since sound doesn't travel in space. And I just made myself sound like a mustache twirling villain for no reason. That is a good amount of money to have. I'm going to invest in 1 level of engines upgrade for the time being. Probably not a smart idea to be using my fire weapons in a place where fires would occur naturally, would it? Let me see. We do need to power down 1 level of our engines for this, which is unfortunate. But I don't think the enemy is really that dangerous. Unless, of course, I am mistaken yet again. Let's try to stomp on their shields so that the firestorm from the star will deal more damage to their ship. Not any more damage than I expected, I guess. That's okay, they're about to be destroyed anyways. Here's a store. With a good amount of money, we can hope to have something great here. Unfortunately, nothing really stands out to me for the time being. We could purchase the cloaking system, but without stealth weapon, that really isn't very good with my ion weapons. There is a case to be made for Defense Strong 1 though. I think I'm going to do that. It's a boring decision, but I think a good one at the end of the day. Another minor flaw with FTL is that the drone system seems really underused. This is pretty much the only drone worth using. For all other cases, it's almost objectively better to be using ordinary weapons or boarding strategy, which I might do in the next FTL run. Boarding strategy is pretty fun, I think. There is stealth weapon here. How ironic. Let's move on. So with Defense Strong Mark 1, we will be able to shoot down enemy missiles when they come in, but before my green shield depletes, I don't think that would be necessary. Also, the reason why I'm calling it green shield rather than Zoltan shield is just because I think the word Zoltan is a little funny to say. Now is the time to power up this. And they should be destroyed. Let's go here. there is a non-negligible probability that we will be able to unlock the Crystal Cruiser going this direction. If you don't know what the Crystal Cruiser is, here is some spoiler. There is a hidden race of aliens in this game, known as the Crystal People, and it requires a veritably draconian quest line in order to unlock the ship thematically appropriate to that species. That quest line requires you to go through a specified number of, or should I say, specified set of sectors and encountering some very specific events in set order. It could easily take you hundreds of runs before you are able to unlock that ship. In the update, the developers made it so that there is an alternative unlock method, which I guess makes the game more accessible to new players, but I still prefer the more absurd questline because I feel like I have more bragging rights with something like that. That particular instance of design choice exposes the very much random chance-based design philosophy early in the development of this game. However, I should probably stop being pretentious sometime soon, since I am not a professional game designer. I shouldn't even say that because that makes me sound like I know at least something about game design, whereas in fact the best I ever did was making a couple incomplete games that were never really published. Maybe I will show you my work one day, but that day is not today. Okay, we have the Stealth Cruiser quest here. Looks like there will be no chance of us fulfilling the Crystal Cruiser quest this time around, but that's not unexpected. I should also be powering up my glaive beam for a ship that is not susceptible to fire. Let me see. I think this will be okay. The defense drone very nearly failed me, but luckily it did not. You know what? Send more Zoltans to the shield. Not because of the fire, but because now we have 2 levels of shield that are impervious to ion damage. Let's not mess up this attack. I'm going to attack their defensive systems first, since I think we have our own defense under control here. Never mind. Someone should be operating the weapons. And this thing is apparently just going to go on strike. Maybe it thinks that it's not being paid a fair wage or something, but the word robot in its etymological origin literally means slave, so I don't know why this robotic machine is asking for better treatment. That was silly of me, but that's going to suffice to destroy their ship. Let's see. It's probably a foolish idea to be going this way, especially without healing my crew members first. But this is for entertainment, not professionalism. This is a difficult situation. Let me see if I can damage their ship enough to cause them to try and surrender before they are able to escape. I honestly don't think so. Unless, of course, they do something very foolish with the way they prioritize their repairs. However, that does not appear to be the case either. I'm beginning to see a good case to be made for more weapons upgrade. If this misses, they will almost certainly get away. Okay, we did not win the luck of the draw, so we will let them go, since they were about to escape anyways. I'm also going to press this quest line for no other reason than my own amusement, even though it is technically, or should I say, it is strategically very much unadvisable. It will most certainly cause us to have to fight the rebel fleet, but if at this point I am not able to handle a couple rebel fleet ships, then I should be reflecting on what I learned playing so many FTL runs. Let's hope for a better result with upgraded weapon system this time around. Many misses on our part, and there is an incoming intrusion drone which I do not want to deal with. And on the basis that my evasion might be, my accuracy might be contingent on my engine power, I'm going to temporarily disable my defense drone only to power it up once again when this thing comes in. but it missed anyway, so it's all pointless in the end. Okay. We have the quest line in order now. Easy enough. Looks like this time the escape from the rebel fleet won't be so bad. I'm tempted to purchase this system, but I don't think that is the correct choice. Or is it really? Because I still don't have any form of shield disruption, so this could be my solution to that problem. Of course, due to the enemy's numerous defense methods against hacking drones, we won't be able to use the hacking system on this particular ship. Even if there is a unintended strategy that can be employed against something like this. Basically, there is a way to cheat around enemies' defense drones. But for the time being, that doesn't seem necessary. I could be using my fire beam, but I think this is more secure of a method. One more bar of power won't hurt. And let's try to not take too much damage here. I think we will be fine. But we will hit them anyways. No luck unlocking Crystal Cruiser this time around, but I already knew that. Here is the Stealth Cruiser quest. We don't really need any fuel. Perhaps we do. I'm going to save that money for... Actually, I'm going to use that money for this upgrade. Because I do want to experiment with hacking enemy shields rather than relying on my starting ion weapons. Let's try this out. Of course, I will still be using these weapons. However, doing so before my glaive beam was charged up was probably very foolish. I'm going to open the door on my own crew member. That was a foolish idea, as it turns out. Sure, it could have avoided system damage, but it's not worth the disruption on my other crew members. The enemy shield is completely subdued, so we will be trying to disable their weapons instead. Doesn't matter anymore. Any stores nearby? No, so we will be upgrading this. Let me try using fire damage this time around. I am saying that phrase way too many times. Probably can start hacking now. And we will literally light them up. Might have to end up abandoning the pilot system, which is not ideal. They do have some threatening weaponry, but hopefully in a moment that would be no more, since we did set fire to their weapons. We can fight them inside here. I am amazed that their weapon system still managed to fire a couple last shots before being completely engulfed in flame. Let's do this now. Not an optimal use of my weapon, but shouldn't matter anymore. I should be firing an ion shot there. They might end up reviving one crew member or not. Another quest location on the map. The quest beacons are right next to each other. That is convenient. Looks like we won't be able to use our hacking strategy here. Unless of course I try to cheat, which I will. Because all is fair in love and war. There we go. We bypassed their defense drone. The hack, I think I began it a little too early. And I would probably end up not being able to actually fire my fire beam in time. fair punishment for that cheating strategy, I guess. I don't think I will be needing my ion weapons, so let's use that power to power up our defense strong instead. You can use a heal. That upsets me a little. Thankfully, it did not end up mattering that much. This isn't so bad. Our defensive systems are holding on pretty well, and their ship is slowly beginning to become a smoldering hunk of steel. My defense strong was somehow destroyed. Interesting. Let's do this. I don't have hacking stun, so activating hacking there is pretty much meaningless, but I'm still going to do it for fun. Good. You search near the coordinates given to you, but the search yields no result. Perhaps they were mistaken. Improved sensors run a second pass. I don't believe I have seen this event before, but it might just be my own forgetfulness. It's been a while since I last played this game. We will be using hacking system again. In that case, we should be diverting some of our ion weapons on other systems. This is also a quest mission, so I'm not sure if it's going to be acceptable to kill the enemies by killing their crew members rather than destroying their ship. Let's hope that doesn't matter. The fire beam did not light any fire in the med bay. That's unfortunate. They should be finished now. I like that the crew member acted as though it was aware of what's going on and decided that there's no chance of survival fighting on that ship, so it went for a last-ditch effort trying to board our ship. Unfortunately, that's not going to work in its favor either. Okay. Good. We completed the quest, and I just realized that we have a ton of money unspent. I do believe the soundtrack is being played by piano, which is very nice. It's time to cheat again, looks like. We did it. Not really proud of myself, but there isn't really a rule that says you cannot exploit the game for its weaknesses. I'm not going to try to legitimize cheating in this game, but I'm going to cheat anyways. Okay, you know what? I will just give up on trying to be ethically consistent with myself. Experiencing some slowdown. That is rare with FTL. Usually the performance of this game is very good. I should be burning the med bay. Oh, it's already burning, but I can't tell how much it's burning. Not very much from the appearance of things, and not at all now. I do think that they are done though. I'm feeling paranoid that my computer might be running out of memory, so I will pause it here and I might continue in just 1 second. Hello again. I was worried that my computer was running out of space, but as it turns out that is not the case. We will be checking the store. I do like the system, so I will be having that. I don't think this is useful enough, so I will sell it for money. Next upgrades probably go to power or shield or engines. We will decide on that later. This is a cheap upgrade. That's okay. let's hope and find a good amount of resources before fulfilling the mission. Not necessary to cheat this time. We're also going to use our mind control system on this crew member, even though that wasn't exactly productive. These two are trapped in the burning room. Imagine what it would feel like to be them in that situation. Okay. I'm thinking we can go this way. Pick up a little more resources. Unfortunately, they blocked our path. We will just have to fight that through them. I am going to be using my defense drone, and I'm not sure. No need to cheat here either. Let's hope the hacking system wasn't started too early. It might be a little early. Yeah, that's unfortunate. I may or may not just skip to the next interesting part of this battle. Okay, this is pretty interesting. They're hacking our shields, except their hacking system is not sufficiently upgraded to be a real threat. But that is annoying. Now they burn. That fire beam was kind of wimpy, I have to say. Open our internal doors. Mind control enemy crew members. And how did they ionize my... Oh, never mind. It was the inherent effect of the hacking system that after being used, it's going to be ionized. Even though that's probably not how physics work. Are you listening to this music? Video games with good music means that I don't need to talk as much, so it works out for me. We might have to take a missile to the face. Or not. This had been a war of attrition, but I think we are going to end up coming out on the top here. Good. Do I need this crew member? I honestly don't think so. So we have to fight through that. I'm going to upgrade my engines as much as is possible and get ready for that. I have no interest in sustained battle here. Come on. Okay. Let's go here. Looks like we won't be having too much reward from this fight. And it is necessary to cheat again. Doesn't bother me, at least. Good. Do not make the same mistake of activating the hacking system too early. And it looks like it's defense strong time again. Too late. We have our own shield hacked. Fair trade, I guess. That is not as much fire as I hoped. And we got hit in the drone control system. Could be worse. That might be terrible. If it had started a fire or it was the big missile that hit, my fragile Zoltan crew members might be in a world of pain. Let's ensure that their weapon system burned this time. My prophecy of missiles hitting here is almost coming to manifestation, so that's scaring me. But looks like the enemies are also going to die, so that's okay. Okay. Got everybody here healed up. And let's prepare for the final battle. Evidently, this is not the final battle. Our ship is a bit beat up, so I will have to try to minimize damage during the boss fight. However, I will be using my fire weapon, because it works wonder on the boss. Let's do this. I'm going to do something strange. No, that's never going to work. I'm not going to do that. I was going to hack their med bay such that all of their crew members would die from the reverse healing of a hacked med bay, but I don't think I will be able to manage that, because my puny ion weapons is not going to suffice to take down their shields. In fact, I am almost going to... I'm going to disable the ion weapons so that I have more evasion. That hacking drone of the enemy could be very dangerous to us, and that is very unfortunate. That did not start enough fire. Let's get out of there and get healed. Okay, this is where having Zoltan crew members becomes a difficult thing, because as the Zoltan crew members move around, they also changes where the power is distributed. However, the enemy just blew up our mind control system, making it so that the enemies are now actually unable to mind control our crew members. So that is a good news to know, at least. That fire though does not help at all. Hopefully the Zoltans can survive the trip to the medbay, and that the medbay doesn't completely burn out. It wouldn't have been the final boss fight if it wasn't somewhat difficult. And I'm getting a suspicion that the enemy weapon pods are actually immune to fire. That is no good. I don't think we will be able to handle that situation. And it's time for more questionable decisions. I'm actually going to power down my oxygen system, in the hopes that the... oh my lord. In the hopes that the low oxygen in this place will cause the fires in those rooms to burn out. And that did not start any fire. I think it's glaive beam time. This is getting ridiculous. I also think the enemy is about to enter a cloak, so I will not be using the hacking system right away. At any rate, I still need to wait for the glaive beam to charge up, so there's that as well. They did indeed cloak. And the fire is getting put out. Looks like Sims are getting under control again. I do not like that missile system though. Unfortunately, we don't have a functional drone system to prevent that from happening. I might die on this run. It's time to face that possibility, I think. Oh. Also, the drone system is on fire. The hacking system is on fire. I guess the enemies will not let up. That is terrible. I wonder how many times I said that over the course of playing different video games. That is probably worse. Let's do this in time. We managed to attack the enemy before their shields can fully recover. That is something to be happy about, at least. I cannot believe that. That I would make the same mistake twice in a row. Why did I not kill the ship there? Because I wanted to make sure the crew member is in fact dead. Sometimes when the crew member is in the falling down animation, they would respawn in the next wave of the enemy attack because the game thinks the enemy is not actually dead, which is really silly, but that's the rule of the game. If I can cheat, so can my enemies, I guess. I am so ready for this fight to be over. Okay. Okay. Let's see. Why can I not jump? Oh, no pilot. Excuse me, I just returned from a little errand. Let's see. We do want to repair the mind control system. The next fight with the final boss is often reputed to be the most difficult. So if we can survive that, we stand a good chance to win the game. Let's go. Cheating required. In case you don't know what I'm doing, I'm waiting for the enemy defense drone to fire its projectile, then immediately turn off my hacking system so that the hacking drone stops moving, and so their projectile will miss the target, allowing the hacking drone to attach itself to the target. I think I'm just going to go. Let me try using the fire beam as well. I was going to say that I'm just going to go full whole damage on this fight. Should probably start hacking a little sooner. We will have to deal with this drone. I don't think there is any other alternative besides that. Medbay is not really a priority, so that's okay. We will be focusing on damaging these two systems and lighting as much of this side of the ship on fire as is possible. And we are having a little problem with our hull now. That's not good. But they should be pretty much unable to hurt us anymore. Still took some damage, but inevitable in a fight like this, I suppose. I'm going to try and burn as many things as possible so as to distract enemy crew members from doing anything productive. On hindsight, I could have damaged their medbay with my glaive beam, however, I don't think that is necessary at this particular moment, since they have so many different things to do, and the fire will eventually spread in their enemies. They are now losing their heads because they don't know what to do now. Perfect time to start burning this. About time to do that, I guess. Okay, so all the enemy in the main body of the ship are dead. That is very good for the next fight. Let's just wait out this strong swarm. And oh, I didn't know there was a hotkey to select all the crew members. That's fun. They are toast. Okay, they are not toast yet, but they will be toast in just a few moments. I don't know what paused the game there. Must be touching my touchpad. Okay. Repair this, please. It is conceivable that we can win this battle. What was it that we needed the most in the last fight? From the looks of things, I really just ought to upgrade the power. And there really isn't much else I can do beside upgrading these systems so as to prevent them from completely breaking after taking 1 damage. Let's do this. I'm going to turn on my ion systems, through my ion weapons, so as to maximize damage on their green shield. Why not fire the glaive beam as well? That looks like it's going to work as a shield disruption method, but I don't think that's actually going to work. We will be powering down some relatively non-essential systems so as to get ready to hack their shield. I want to keep Fire Beam functional because it can do a lot for us. Now we can start hacking. Looks like we're going to take that missile barrage to the face. Luckily evaded them all. And let me see, I am going to use my glaive beam on the most troubling system, which is the missile and the mind control, while trying my best to maximize damage so I will do that, which means the fire beam can go this way. Okay. A disappointing fire beam, but could have been much worse, I guess. I think this will just be an easy victory for us. For the mind. Unless of course those missiles do something really nasty, which they almost did. If their shield wasn't so on fire, that damage to my hacking system might have been a lot more detrimental to us. Let me try and maximize damage, and I'm fairly sure that they are actually toast. Good. Well, thank you for watching. That would be one of the few victories on camera I have so far on my channel.